Alright, hi guys. So today we have a very special class because we have 3 students. Say hi guys.
Hi.
They're all a bit nervous because they're not quite sure what to expect, so I'm gonna be kind, I promise. So I'll just come and sit here for a moment. So the purpose of today's class is that we're gonna actually be workshopping 2 things that I think are really, really important in the yoga practice, especially if you're practicing with other people in the room. So one of those is skeletal variation, which basically means that we all have very different skeletons. I think science at school can be a bit confusing because you see this kind of perfect skeleton and everybody thinks that's the skeleton that we all have, which is actually not the case. So in the yoga practice, we really need to take into account that we all have different skeletons, and some poses will be easy for some people and some will be hard. And then the second thing is comparison. So when we go into the yoga class, you might have someone to the left of you who has a really deep back bend, and then someone to the right who has really open hips, and it can be easy to compare ourselves to other people. So I really want today's workshop to kind of highlight to you that we're all different, and some things come easy to us and some things are a bit more challenging. So when you are in group practice, to kind of let go of what the pose is meant to look like. So we'll get straight into it with talking about hips. So the hip joint is a ball and socket joint, and if you have very, very open hips, you may be able to kind of open the legs really, really wide, go into box splits. You may be able to kind of come into these shapes quite easily, internally rotating the hips, or you may find one of those movements really hard and one of the movements really easy, or both hard, both easy, okay? So we're going to start with Malasana, which is our squat pose. So I'm going to get all 3 of my students actually to come forwards. And if you can all just come into Malasana for me. So this is where we take the feet wide and come into a squat. And those of you who are watching, you can also come into this pose. So when you're ready, take the feet wide, toes turn out, and come and sit down in your squat.
Should we all face forward?
Yeah, you can all face forward and come down. Okay. Now, okay, so you can see 3 very different bodies. So Claire has quite open and externally rotated hips, so she's sitting quite deep and her spine is pretty straight here. Now Joe has much tighter hips, and this is probably his skeleton. It's similar to mine. He's kind of more rounded forwards. And then Mum here, she has to lift her heels in this pose to be able to come into a deep shape. If you put your heels down, how does that change the pose? She has to come into a high squat. Okay, I'll come into the mix as well. So if I come in front of Joe, I'm similar to Joe. I actually have to lean forwards to kind of lift my chest is quite challenging. So you can come out of the pose now. So this is like the first example, how our hips can affect the movement. Okay, example number 2 is, can you all come onto your bellies facing towards the top of the mat? So you'll kind of all be on the mats. One of you will kind of be in the middle. So like this.
That's nice.
So just come down like this. Joe in the middle?
In the middle.
Joe can go in the middle. Okay. Now this one, we're going to be looking at upward facing dog, which is a kind of advancement up from the baby cobra that we've been taking. And this is where we actually straighten the arms and lift the chest all the way up. Okay, so I'll just do a little demo here in front of you all, so you know where you're going. So the hands are coming next to the nipples, and then you lift yourself all the way up. So you push into your hands. So push all the way up into your hands. Okay, so this is a really good example. I'm actually going to move the camera. Okay. So we're looking at back bends now. So you can see that Claire on the end there has a really deep back bend, kind of her spine almost kind of splits in half. Then Joe here, his spine is a little bit less flexible, but this is going to be probably the way the vertebrae is attached together. So it's kind of like, he's still got a pretty good back bend, but it's not quite as extreme as Claire's. And then Mama Claire, similar to Joe, which doesn't surprise me because they're the same family. So you can come down when you're ready. Okay, so this is an example of the spine and the different variations of the spine. Okay, you can all come up. All right, okay. So next pose is gonna be triangle pose. Okay, so this is the pose where we come in like this with a hand on the shin. So again, if you could, Mum, if you could go there, and Claire, if you could go there, and Joe, I'll just get you to sit this one out. So we're going to start with the left foot forwards, right foot back, and come into triangle pose when you're ready. So left arm reaches forwards and comes down to the shin. Nice. Okay, so this is another really good example. So Claire, you can see her fingertips of her right hand are directly on top of the left. She's got like this very straight line. Now again, I'll grab the camera. So with my mum, you can see the arm isn't going straight up, and this is because of the bone of her shoulder. So she struggles with her golf swing as well because of this bone. You don't struggle, but it's different orientation. So when you're ready, come back up. And there's no way that my mum can change that unless she had some kind of operation to shave her bone, because this is her skeleton. Okay, so this is another example. When a teacher is saying, put your hand directly on top of your shoulder, that's probably a very frustrating cue for you because your bones are not built that way. Okay? Okay. Next one, we're going to do, Joe, if you want to come in, and Mum, if you sit out. We're going to look at saddle pose. So we're going to come down onto the shins. Okay. So I haven't actually taught this one in the course, but I'll show you now. So your bum can either sit on your heels, or you can take your feet wide and you can sit down between the heels. And then from here, I just want you to lean back as far as you can go. So you can see Claire here is like, it's super easy for her. She's so open. This is also going to be helping with the hips. And Joe is not going so far back. And Joe, where are you feeling? Are you feeling a stretch?
Yeah, side thighs.
Yeah. What happens if you take your feet a little bit wider, like Claire has outside the bum? So you're sitting between.
I can't even sit down.
Okay. And is that because of tightness here? Or is it feeling like bones on bone?
I've got quite a sore leg, like
Yeah.
just down here anyway. I'm just on my left side, so it's hard to judge, but I can't do it. I don't think I can physically get there.
Yeah. So this is a really good example for the men. When I teach yoga, the men usually struggle with this pose. Women are a lot more open and tend to be able to go deeper, whereas men have a lot more restriction. Okay, when you're ready, come up. Claire looks quite comfortable, she might not want to. Okay, and then we're going to now look at, what was the last one I wanted to look at?
Crow? Side plank?
Yeah, let's look at side plank. Okay, so when you're ready, all three of you will do side plank. Just for 1 second. Okay.
Guess we should face the same way.
Yeah, so yeah, if all of your heads face towards me, so left hand down, Mum, you can come in the middle. And come up. Okay. And come down. Okay. So this one already, this is more of a strength one. And for Mum, it's going to be anatomical because of your shoulder. So in side plank, Joe, if you can come into the full side plank. So this is the kind of full side plank, which is quite strong. The hips are lifted and the body's in one line. If you can come down. Now the variation that I'd like to show you, Claire, I'll get you to demo this. So coming into the same shape, but the bottom knee comes down. Lottie's coming to join the party too. So the left knee is on the ground. So this is a really nice variation here that Claire's doing. It's still strong, but she's got the bottom knee down. Okay, if you can come out of the shape. And then we'll do one more variation. So if you come back into the shape, this full side plank, and this time you're going to take the right foot and bend your knee and place the foot in front of you. So place the foot like here. That's it. So this is another variation that you can take of side plank. You can just place the top foot down. And is that stronger or less strong?
It's still quite hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is like kind of the
It's harder than this one.
the mediocre. So you've got like kind of the entry level, the kind of bit more challenging, and the very challenging pose. And Lottie also likes to do yoga, so that's why she's here. So I'll finish the class there. I just wanted this to be like really workshoppy before we go into the final few days of the challenge. Just to let you know that it really doesn't matter what the pose looks like. Really, we're looking at the function of the pose. So if we're doing a pose where we want to be feeling sensation through the inner thighs, it doesn't matter what the pose looks like. It really matters what it feels like. So I will leave it at that, and Lottie will come and say goodbye, and we'll see you soon.